This podcast was recorded on Gubby Gubby land and pays respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. So, welcoming Laura to the podcast. How are you, my love?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm really good. How you doing, Hanika?
I'm good. I'm very much looking forward to this conversation together. I feel like it's going to be super cool and just like insightful for everyone who listens.
Of course. I think it's a very underrated thing, our hormone health. So I think it's going to be great for everyone.
Yeah, so cool. So let's kick off the episode with my listener question, which is
Mhm.
share with me your most like embarrassing or funny or just like unexpected challenge that you've had with your period.
Okay, so I think especially in my younger years, so obviously when I first got my period, it was very challenging. So obviously I didn't have a set kind of idea or anything of what was normal. So I think I really struggled with, especially early on, heavy periods,
Hmm.
in the sense of I would be nearly bleeding through like a super pad through the day, and I'd have to change all the time, and I'd get very nervous at school about, oh, what if someone's seen my wings or someone sees that I'm wearing a pad at school? And I think everyone can relate to that. So I think I would get very nervous about that at school, and I'd be wearing like, little shorts under my skirt and all that sort of stuff. But I think that'd probably be the most kind of challenging thing, especially when I was younger. And obviously, when you're younger, it's very like a taboo kind of thing to talk
Yeah.
about. I feel like as we've gotten a bit older, like into our 20s, it's kind of like normal to chat about with your friends and whatnot. But in those early years, it's very daunting, I suppose, because it's new to everyone. It's kind of weird and scary. But yeah, a few different challenges around that.
Yeah, I like you just completely triggered like memories for me that I forgot about of like when you were in
Yeah.
high school and like I don't know, I know me in high school I had like the shortest skirt, like it was way shorter than it should have been. And same thing, like because I didn't have a longer skirt, like if I had my period and I had wings on my pad, it would just be like wearing shorts underneath because it's like, oh
Yep.
my God, I don't want anyone to see it. Or you'd still just get like really nervous around that. And I've completely forgotten about that. And that's such a true struggle that like so many of us face because it's like, well, I kind of need this overnight pad on right now because if I don't, um,
Yep. Yeah, and then you'd be worrying about when you get up, and you'd be checking your skirt when you get up, making sure you haven't bled on your skirt or something, and oh, it's scary.
and like I feel like you always like think it's so much worse in your head than it actually possibly is. So like I remember sitting in class and being like, it's going all over the chair, it's going all over like my skirt, it's going everywhere. And then you like go run to the bathroom and it's like nothing.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that because it's really just like normalizing that like we literally all have this shit come up with our cycle, whether like it still comes up or it doesn't. Like it's actually just a thing that we kind of all don't talk about, like you said, but like it just happens to us all. So it's really cool to just like
Exactly.
bring the light to it.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but I would absolutely love to hear you like introducing yourself. Like, who are you? Let us know your story. How did you get so just like hooked on hormonal health? And what
Mhm.
do you do?
Okay, so I am Laura and I'm a health and hormone coach. So basically, my story started when I was younger. So I used to have very heavy periods and very irregular periods. And I struggled with this for probably 3 or 4 years. And then I went to my doctor and I said, look, something has to be wrong. Like, surely this isn't right. Like I said, I'm nearly bleeding through a super pad. I'm having to change all the time. Like, surely this is not normal. I had very debilitating cramps where I would spend, half a day in bed because I was in pain. I said, this isn't normal. Surely, what can we do? And he said, oh, just go on the pill. So I was on the pill for 9 years. I was on the pill for a very long time, and it definitely did kind of, I suppose, band-aid over those symptoms where my periods were a lot lighter. I did still have some period pain, but it wasn't debilitating in the sense that I'm taking a day off work or I couldn't move for half a day. But as soon as I came off the pill, as we kind of do in our late 20s, as I came off the pill, I had all of these symptoms come out again. So my skin was breaking out. My periods were, I was in pain again for majority of the days, whether that be, in my stomach or in my back. I had terrible PMS where I was just that kind of week or two before my period, I was just biting heads off.
Yeah.
And I had all these kind of ugly symptoms come back out. And I thought to myself, surely there's something I can do here that doesn't involve staying on the pill.
Yeah.
So I kind of dove headfirst into it, and I was looking at all the different. I was googling and reading, and I was doing all of the things. And yeah, then I found holistic health, and I kind of dove headfirst into it. I studied with Royal College Global. They're based out of Sydney, and I did my course. So I'm a qualified health, nutrition, and wellbeing coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've just kind of niched into health and hormones because obviously from my own experiences, I've just want to be able to help women do the same thing.
That is so special. And I always feel like the best people in their specific fields are always like from their own experience. Like, and that story of like being on the pill and all those things, like I swear every guest I have on is like, yeah, so like my journey started on the pill and then I realized like blah blah blah. And like my own journey as well. Like I took
Mm-hmm.
contraception for about 9 years, something like that as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and until it was kind of like, oh my gosh, like think back to like way back when the women were tracking with the moon and like there was no contraception, right? Like they knew
Exactly.
what was happening with their body. Like, why are we not doing that right now? Um, so I love how you've kind of like, dove headfirst in for yourself and then here we are and you're like supporting women to understand their own hormones, which is
Mm-hmm.
just like super cool. What like if someone was to ask you, say a client or like they're just getting into this and like I swear like everyone's heard of like hormones, right? But like what
Mm-hmm.
actually is an indication of like healthy hormones? And I know this is a really broad question because there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of hormones throughout the body, but like I
Mm-hmm.
guess yeah, like how would you describe to someone they should be feeling if their hormones are functioning properly?
Okay, so majority of women, obviously, we fluctuate on, well, depending on what your cycle is, we fluctuate between that kind of 21 to 35-day cycle in the sense of we do have ups and downs with our periods, which is fine. It's completely normal. It's when we're starting to feel that kind of erratic, crazy behavior where we're like wanting to bite heads off or yell at people, or we just want to cry all of a sudden for no reason. That's when we kind of think, okay, something's a little bit out of whack here.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say if you're having those kind of ups and downs, the high PMS kind of symptoms, that's definitely a bit of an indication that you might have something going on. I would also look at even if you're having kind of breakouts, so that sort of thing, that can also indicate that there's something deeper going on. I mean, look, the occasional single pimple here and there, it does happen. Different things happen in our lives where we might be a bit more stressed or we might have eaten a bit more fatty or sugary food or something like that where it does have a breakout. That's okay. Um, Another thing I would say would be your sleep. So definitely if you're not sleeping all the way through the night, you're waking up multiple times and you're struggling to go back to sleep for ages. So kind of a bit of insomnia. If you're
Mhm.
struggling with that, that could be an indication that there's something going on as well. Also, if you're not feeling consistently good throughout the day. So if you're waking up and you've had a full, 9 hours sleep and you're waking up and you're still feeling groggy, or if you're getting to that kind of 2, 3 p.m. and you're all of a sudden having this crash where you're like, oh my God, I could go to sleep and I could sleep for 4 hours right now. Then you're picking up back into the night and you're not tired at 10, 11 o'clock at night. If you're having those kind of struggles with your wake and sleep patterns, that's a big indication as well. Um, Not hungry in the morning, that's one of the biggest things.
Mhm.
So I really think diet culture did a big one on us, especially for those in their 20s, where we were told, you know, oh, you just have no breakfast, or you just have a little breakfast, or it's okay to skip breakfast. After you've slept for your solid, 7 to 9 hours, you should be waking up and you should be feeling hungry.
Yeah.
That is definitely an indication that if you're waking up and you're not hungry in the morning, there is something going on.
Yeah, and I would just love to butt in there because
Mm.
something that I see a lot of, and I don't specialize in hormones, but like something I see within a lot of women when they come to me for menstrual cycle troubles is like people don't actually realize like if you're drinking coffee on an empty stomach, you're like
Mm.
you cannot be doing that. And it's such a common, like you said, it's almost like diet culture, like it's a trend. Like let's go for our like morning hot girl walk, grab a coffee, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you're actually like fucking your hormones. So it's
Yeah,
really
exactly.
important to not be doing that. Do you have like, could you expand on that of like what coffee is actually doing to our hormones of the morning?
Yeah, so basically, what coffee does, obviously, because it's caffeine, caffeine's a stimulant. So it's lifting us up. Basically, what happens is it kind of stimulates within us the fight or flight response. So, what happens is if you're having coffee on an empty stomach, um, obviously that caffeine and that full stimulant is being absorbed into the body straight away. Whereas, obviously, if you have food in your stomach, it's a bit more of a slower, kind of slower absorption. It doesn't stimulate us as much.
Hmm.
So by elevating that flight or fight response, you're kind of putting your body into a bit of a stress.
Yeah.
So your body is struggling to kind of keep up. And it's kind of worrying what's going on here, what's going on. I haven't had food, but oh, it seems to be okay. We've got things to do. We're running here, there, and everywhere. Whereas you should be kind of having a slower ease into the morning, not kind of jolting your body into that
Yeah.
response straight away.
Yeah, because that's like really like impacting our adrenals and like that's where people can get like the
Exactly.
adrenal exhaustion and things like that, if I'm right.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I also would love to add to that, like even if you're someone who like drinks your coffee and then
Mhm.
it's like I don't feel that, like I don't feel like I'm in fight or flight, like it's just chill. It's like that doesn't actually mean that your body's not still going through those motions. Like on a
Exactly.
mental level, you might be like I'm good, but like on for your actual body, it's probably still like doing exactly what Laura just said. So it's cool to just keep that in mind. And I don't know, even if you just like, I don't know, I guess like implement a bloody banana before you.
Yeah, exactly. Something as simple as having a banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
gonna like
Can
really support your like entire menstrual cycle, isn't it?
exactly. So, um, around the conversation for breakfast. So, I do recommend that people try and have their breakfast within kind of an hour to 90 minutes of waking up. It kind of jumpstarts your metabolism for the day. It gives you that energy and fuel that you need to kind of have that morning wake up and make wake up feeling good and ready for the day. You also want to try and be having kind of 20 to 30 grams of protein.
Mm.
Now, that can look like having, I know everyone kind of gets sick of eggs. I'm having an egg at the moment, so I know exactly what this is like.
I'm glad
But
I'm not the only one that goes through an egg ick. I go through like phases and I'm like, give me all the eggs, and then I'm like, what the fuck is an egg? Why am I eating that?
yep, exactly. I'm the exact same. So at the moment, I'm in a bit of an egg ick. So I've been actually making either some like protein oats, or I've been doing even just sausages. So I'll have like a couple of sausages with like I've been doing it with like beans and like diced tomatoes and having like a kind of like a shashuka but without the eggs,
Hmm.
um, just to mix it up. So we're having still a dense, good kind of protein, carbs, and fats breakfast, but nothing well with eggs.
Yeah. So would you say like if someone's eating just avo on toast for breakfast, yay or nay for your hormones?
Look, having something is better than having nothing.
Hmm.
Um, Building on the avo and eggs. So if you're loving avo and eggs, fantastic. Try adding an egg or try adding some ham on the side or some salmon or whatever it is that you fancy. But trying to keep that protein up is such a like great building block for our hormones.
Yeah.
Obviously, protein really helps us in the sense of it gives us good energy. It helps build those muscles. It's yeah, we really do need to eat more in our diets. Especially women. I don't know why, but we really struggle to kind of get it in.
Mm.
So yeah, just trying to incorporate that little bit more if we can.
Yeah, and protein's actually a really important, like you said, for women in that our hormones do fluctuate all throughout our cycle. Like we really need that protein to support our body to like be working at its optimal level. So get on the protein,
Exactly.
girlies. I love the sausages for breakfast. Like I honestly, I haven't had it in a little while now, but you've just sort of like reminded me. But I used to always eat like two lamb sausages, a little bit of Greek yogurt, and like spinach and tomato or something.
Mhm.
With like avo, and it was like the Greek yogurt, even though it's like a sweet thing. Oh my God, it just added something to the meal. I know like
Yeah.
some people kind of hate. There's like different beliefs around like mixing your meals in like that you have things like that, but I'm all for it.
No.
think it's like so good. It's just a bit random.
Yeah. So I always tell people don't limit yourself to breakfast food. So
Mm,
you can have whatever you want. So if you wake up and you're feeling like sausages, go, you have those sausages. Do whatever you want. Yeah, don't limit yourself just to your breakfast foods.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I love that so much. I would love to, we've kind of started like touching on it already, but like moving into what do you think like contributes a lot to imbalanced hormones within people, like, lifestyles that we've kind of adopted over time that probably aren't serving us, but we're not even realizing?
Yeah, so I feel like the biggest thing, especially with, the women that I generally speak with, will be cortisol imbalance. So cortisol is your main stress hormone. And generally, a lot of the women don't even realize that they've got kind of high cortisol or they've got imbalanced hormones until they sit down and they start thinking about it and they're like, oh, right, I am doing all of the things that could lead to this. So essentially, the symptoms we see when we have high cortisol, as I was explaining earlier, so that higher fatigue, you've got your bit of a flight and fight response where you might not even realize it, but your body is constantly running on stress all day, every day. You've got your sorry, you've got your acne. You might be feeling a little bit anxious, um, even a low libido, or you're missing periods, or you're having very irregular periods, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we need a little bit of cortisol in our day to day, because cortisol is the hormone that kind of picks us up in the morning, wakes us up, gets us ready for the day, and it tapers off towards the end of the day. We do need it, but having that excess is what gets us into trouble. And we start seeing those kind of symptoms. Um, what we can do kind of to help that would be I really recommend people having really good stress management in the sense of get yourself a hobby.
Yeah.
It could be something you could do only 15 minutes each day. So, for me, for example, what I do is 15 minutes a day. It doesn't really matter when I really do it. I try and do it as part of my wind down routine of the night, but 15 minutes, I'll read a book.
Yeah.
That's my time where I'll sit down, I'll relax, I'm, disconnected from everything else, and I just read my book.
Mm-hmm.
I think having something in place where you have kind of that me time is a big part of, helping balance and de stress and kind of bring back to yourself.
Yeah. I love that. I'm always telling people, I'm like, even if it's like driving with nothing on in the car and just like taking time by yourself or listening to like a chill playlist, like let's bring back
Mm-hmm.
the chill playlist, not like the house music everywhere we go, because sometimes we actually just need to like zen out and like it's doing so much for our health without even realizing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like I love that tip so much. And I would like, do you want to expand on any more like lifestyle things that people might be doing that's like not supporting their hormones? Like I know
Mm-hmm.
um artificial light, something that I speak about sometimes. Like I usually have like my blue light blocking glasses, like things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yes, that's definitely a big one. So late at night, people being on their screens. I know a lot of us now obviously work from work from our phones or work from our laptops, and it is hard to kind of have that time to switch off. But yes, blue light glasses, or even if it's just switching off and not touching your phone, kind of that half an hour to an hour before you go to bed, it
Yeah.
really does help, your body kind of come back to itself and relax a bit more. So it is easier to fall asleep.
Hmm.
Um, I I think the biggest thing is again would be sleep. So a lot of people, um, we have busy lives. They will be going out for dinner or whatever, and the only time they have from themselves is when they get home, and it's kind of 8 9 p.m. until 11 p.m.
Yeah.
But then getting up again in the morning at 5 a.m. each day. You really need to be trying to get, especially for women, between that 7 to 10 hours every night.
Mm.
Um, it will fluctuate obviously with our cycles. So towards the end of your cycle and obviously during your menstruation phase, you are wanting to be getting a little bit more sleep than normal, which is fine. Um, but if we're not allowing ourselves that time to be able to have the good sleep, we're really setting ourselves up for not a great kind of moving forward.
Yeah. I would love to like ask you, I know something that I kind of have recognized in my time of working with women is like, sometimes people can be so like high in cortisol, so stuck in that fight or flight response that they they actually don't know how to be in that parasympathetic state. So they're breathing backwards, they're doing all these things that kind of like they don't even realize are their body's stuck in that stress response.
Mm-hmm.
Can you maybe expand on like, I guess like if someone's stuck in that stress response, what are some ways that they could support their own hormones to, instead of shaming themselves that they're stuck in that? Because like you said,
Yeah,
society is just like built around like that masculine, like 9 to 5. We're out doing things. We want to go play netball and we want to catch up with friends. And then
hmm
we're like home late and then we got work early. It's just like this constant thing. And for
yeah,
some women, it's not like, it might not be achievable to, for example, like get that extra sleep over their period
yeah.
cycle phase, but maybe some ways that they can just support their hormones in general to, yeah,
Mm.
come back to balance.
It is so hard in this kind of hustle and grind culture that we've created. But simple ways that we can support our hormones. So would be, if you can, trying to get that sleep, that 7 to 10 hours through like consistently, having a kind of set or consistent bedtime. I mean, when I say this, you don't have to go to bed at 9 o'clock every night. But if, you know, 5 out of 7 nights a week, you're going to bed at 9 o'clock, fantastic. Um, Another one, having your stress management. So, like I said, making, even if it is only 15 minutes a day, making that me time. A lot of people that I speak with kind of struggle with, I don't have time to have me time. But when we look at their day to day, like you said, they're driving for 20 minutes from work to home each day. Have that 20 minutes to yourself. You
Mm,
don't have to listen to music. You don't have to listen to the podcast if you don't want to. If that's your way of winding down, listening to some music or listening to a podcast, go for it. But
mm,
you can spend that time, either reflecting on yourself or, you know, you can utilize time where you don't think you really have time if you
yeah.
can't make the time. Otherwise, I like to say start small. So I have one client at the moment. She, we couldn't work out where she could have an hour to herself. So we started off with 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes a day, she was spending doing kind of like a meditation, sitting with herself, relaxing. We're now up to, I think she's up to like 45 minutes where she might not be spending the full time meditating or relaxing, but she'll spend that time writing in her journal or just relaxing or just sitting there kind of thinking about what she's done today, what she needs to do, and just kind of planning a bit more so she's not as stressed within herself with her to-do lists and rushing, tearing around each day.
Yeah.
Um, the next thing I would recommend would be daily movement,
Hmm.
which I think is so underrated. Um, if you can get outside and even if it's just to walk around the block for 5 minutes, 5 minutes is better than nothing. Getting out, moving your body in the fresh air, feeling good, it does wonders for people. And, you feel so much more like mentally clearer. And yeah, it's just brilliant. Honestly, it's so underrated.
It honestly is. Like, I'm studying my bachelor in health science at the moment in naturopathy, and
Mhm.
literally it's like every subject, even if it's not related to nature, it's like get out in nature and heal, because it's like so, so important for our health. And people really do underrate it. Like, even if you're just standing out on the grass for like 2 minutes a day, your body's
Mhm.
able to like recalibrate and come back to a space of just like, okay, cool, like I'm here in this moment, because we're so busy all the time thinking about what's on in 5, 10, 15 minutes, or like even hours ahead of in the day. It's like come back to now. And I really loved how you brought in like the part around like scheduling in, just starting with like 10 or 15 minutes and then like working your
Mhm.
way up, because a lot of the time when you actually start to spend just like that short amount of time together, you actually begin to see the blind spots in your days of like, oh, I'm actually scrolling on my phone for like an hour here, and I'm telling myself, oh, I don't go on my phone that much, but like you're wasting time there. And sometimes it can be
Exactly.
hard to see that without taking that like 10 minutes to just be like, feel how good it is to actually have real time with
Mhm.
yourself. Because I think a lot of people really do fall to like the scrolling as like a form of like winding down. But even looping it back to the cortisol conversation, it's like you're raising your cortisol levels, your stress hormones, because you're actually overstimulating yourself when you're doing that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I see with people in phones at the moment is obviously, especially reels, because reels are short.
Mm,
People get their quick dopamine within that kind of 4 or 5 seconds, and they're like, oh, fantastic, next one. Oh, next one. And you're getting those quick hits of dopamine, but it's not necessarily good for you.
mhm.
You might be watching something that's negative or a bit more consuming, or you know, and that brings back to the conversation of, what you're actually watching, seeing, and hearing really affects how you're feeling as well.
Yeah, like your diet is more than what you eat. I love that saying. That's
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Um, and I think people kind of, again, underrate that in the sense of, you know, like you said, they say they have an hour, but they spend the hour scrolling.
Yeah.
You know, even if you cut that down to half, you know, you still have your half an hour of scrolling if that's something that you enjoy, but spend the other half an hour, you know, sitting with yourself or reading a book or, you know, pick up a hobby. My roommate currently, she's started doing puzzles, and
Oh.
that's that's her new hobby. So she'll spend half an hour to an hour every night sitting down just doing puzzles.
Mm. That's so cool. Like I feel like bring back the puzzles. It
Yeah,
gets your brain
yeah.
working and it's like so chill. I love that so much. That's so cool.
Mhm,
I had another question and then it just like flew out of my brain and I can't think of what it was, but I'm sure it will come back to me.
mhm,
Um, oh, that's what I was gonna say. Like the other thing with like the reels or TikTok, how everyone's
mhm,
just scrolling like that, like that's also
mhm.
like making our attention span like goldfish. And
Yeah,
so many people are like um you know self-diagnosing ADHD and things like that, but it's like how much time are you spending on your phone, and that's probably contributing to your like lack of productivity, your hormonal imbalances, like definitely and like the way that I guess you're synthesizing dopamine, if it's like that all the time, I don't know, it's got a
yeah.
much deeper effect.
Get back to the real dopamine. Get outside, go to the beach, swim in the ocean, you know, listen to the birds.
Mm. Yeah. Um, what like even looping back to your own story with like your, you kind of supported yourself in understanding your hormones and things like that,
Mhm.
from having really heavy periods. I would love to hear like what are your daily non-negotiables in supporting your hormones to ensure that you enjoy your cycle and it's not, like this huge burden and you feel like shit all the time. That would be really cool to hear.
So my biggest things at the moment,
Hmm.
so daily movement. So like I said, even if I can only fit in a 10-minute walk, 15-minute walk outside, that's what I'll do. If I can, you know, if I've got time and I can dedicate myself to 45 minutes or an hour in the gym, fantastic. Pilates, yoga, whatever, half an hour, sure. But if I can only do 10 minutes, it's just making that time to get outside and have that walk. That's my daily non negotiables, at least 10 minutes of movement. And I like to say movement instead of exercise because I feel like exercise is so like, you know, get out there and do it and aggressive. Whereas like going out for some movement, it feels a lot nicer and it doesn't feel as like, I don't know,
I
angry
know
and getting out there.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's like you're just moving your body. You're not like almost like
It's
straining. Like exercise just feels so like you've got to like break like a hectic sweat and feel like tomato face afterwards. It's like it doesn't have to be like that every time you move your
yeah,
body. Yeah.
exactly. I feel like movement is something that we get to do. It's not something that we have to do. Whereas exercise, some people feel like it's more clinical and it's more like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. You know, movement should be something that we get to do. It's not something that we have to. Another thing I am currently obsessed with is tongue scraping.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so
So,
glad you brought this in here. All my podcast listeners like literally know I tongue scrape because I go on about it. Please tell us.
so our gut health starts in our mouth, and our gut health and our hormone health is so closely related. So every morning before I'm big on drinking water in the morning, but before I even have my glass of water in the morning, I'm in the bathroom. I am tongue scraping and I am cleaning my teeth. Um, and now, I mean, you're a fellow tongue scraper, so you'll know, but when you scrape your tongue, the amount of stuff that comes off it, and you're just like, oh my God, that was in my body.
Yeah. And I just think about people who have never tongue scraped in their whole life. And I'm like, I can't even fathom that, which no shame. Like it's something, it's like only really becoming a thing. I feel like the last couple of months in Australia,
Mm-hmm.
but like
Yeah.
been on that train for a long while and I'm freaking glad I've been.
I know. And when you forget, like if I go and stay at my friend's house or go stay at my boyfriend's and I forget to take my tongue scraper, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm trying to brush my tongue, my toothbrush, it just doesn't hit right.
Yeah. Yeah. And our like gut health is so important, right? Like
Hmm.
um I think people just underestimate like actually doing something like tongue scraping or brushing your teeth before you drink water in the morning because essentially you're like re-swallowing
All
everything
that
that's in your mouth.
bacteria.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Ugh, yuck. Ick.
Yeah. I know it's funny because like before you'd never even think about it. You'd just be doing whatever, it's fine. And then now that you've started, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not know about this well before?
Yeah, it's like when you can't unsee something, like you see it and you're like, I cannot unsee this. Like I have to like continue this like practice. Yeah.
Exactly. My next big one would be filtered water.
Hmm.
So if you're drinking tap water, I mean, look, better than not drinking water, but once you upgrade your filtered water game, you will not go back. So I
Yeah,
have
put the tap
bought,
water in the bin.
yeah, I've bought a like standalone filter and it sits on my bench, and every day that's where I get my water from. I use the same water when I'm like boiling my jug for cups of tea and all that sort of stuff. Filtered water is a game changer.
Yeah, and
Recommend.
like I actually think like if you're drinking tap water, you don't need like I can't. I'm just like fucking buy water. Like it's actually an essential for you to be drinking like filtered water. And if you're like,
Mhm.
oh, it's just water, it doesn't matter. Like actually, I'm sorry, but like you can't sit with me. Like
Mhm.
like I have rainwater at my house, so I'm very blessed like for where
Oh,
I live and
fantastic. Mhm.
but like if I ever go anywhere, I'm like a water snob. Like I take it everywhere. If I go to like a cafe, I'm like, is this filtered? And they always look at me and I'm just like, answer me. I can
And you're
always like
like,
smell
obviously
it.
not.
Yeah, and like I'm just like I can actually vouch for like water being such a huge like it impacts your health so much fucking more than you would even realize. It's not until you
Mhm.
get off it. It's almost like a drug. It's not until you get off it you realize like how fucked your life was before. It's like, and they've done so many studies on it. Like I don't know, like of the I can't think of the word, but they've done lots of studies on tap water, like holistic health freaks have
Yeah.
um shown the difference in like that water's actually doing and what's in that water and all the things in comparison to filtered water.
Mhm.
Oh, that's like keep these non-negotiables coming. They're so good.
Yeah. So even so, my filter, once I change the filter, because you change it kind of every 3 to 6 months, when you change the filter and you look at the filter and you're like, oh my God, that's what I was drinking before.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. So, um, also, I don't like to live too restrictive on the sense of foods. So I try and lead with a 80/20.
Mm.
So I try and eat 80% whole foods, and 80% of the time I'm making that food at home, and 20% of the time I'm eating out, eating whatever I want.
Yeah.
This could look like me eating, you know, everything at home all day, and then I get to dessert of a night time and I'm like, okay, I want that maxibon. I'm going to
Mm.
eat that.
Yeah.
You don't have to restrict yourself. And, I think people, again, diet culture did a number on us, but I think a lot of people think, okay, if I'm going to be healthy, I can only eat this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
No, you can incorporate all the things you want to eat still, but it's in moderation, or it's in a sense that you're doing it in a way so your body is supported.
Yeah.
So if you're not wanting that crazy, like the coffee, so if you're not wanting that crazy spike of your caffeine and to make you feel kind of all that jittery and get that flight or fight response happening, we're having a meal beforehand. We're eating a banana. We're eating whatever we can before to help that balance.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to be eating, cake and lollies and going to a party or whatever, beforehand, we're going to make sure we're eating a nice lunch, kind of a supportive lunch before we're eating all that sugar and craziness. So we're not kind of having those huge spikes in our glucose throughout the day.
Yeah. I love that so much because I think a lot of people struggle to just find that harmony in and
Yeah.
like I'm exactly the same as you. Like I eat like grass-fed meat, like organic as much as I
Yep.
can, really supporting my body in those ways, eating local, all the things. But like if I feel like a Sunday, I'm gonna like honor that. Obviously not every night, but like I'm
Mm.
not gonna reject that part of me that actually wants soft serve. I'm not gonna reject that part of me that might just like want to go out for dinner and get like a burger and chips or something. And like you said, it's moderation. And I think,
Mhm.
we hear all these things and like the seed oil, the preservatives, all the numbers in the food, and like, yeah, that's real, that's valid. And like, yeah, you shouldn't be eating all of that in every meal. But if you're, dipping your toes in every now and then and you just feel like that food you don't need to go and like restrict yourself the entire day leading up to it. You don't need to shame yourself
Exactly.
for why did I eat that? Or I know that doesn't make me feel good. It's like we can't completely go back to like caveman days where we're eating fucking nuts and grains and like, getting our own meat. Like we need to remember as humans, we've actually evolved over time. And although these foods
Mhm.
aren't good for us, they're there. We feel like them. We can eat them. It's really just like, yeah, the balance. I really love how you brought that in.
Yeah. And I think as well, if we worry and we stress too much about, like you said, the seed oils and what's in foods and reading labels too much, I think it can go the complete opposite end. We can become quite obsessive with it. It's just trying to do the best we can.
Mm.
And it's not making sure that everything is done every single day and we're ticking off all these things. It's about the balance. So it's okay to have days, like you said, where, okay, I want to go out, we're out for lunch, I want to have a burger and chips. 90% of the restaurants, sorry, 90% of the restaurants that you eat at will be cooking in seed oils of some
Yeah.
description. But that's okay. You're only eating that for that one lunch, that one day. It's not going to ruin everything. It's okay to have those kind of meals out and have that balance, because what's worse than going to a restaurant and just sitting there with your friends and, oh, I'm not eating because I'm not happy with how that's cooked or whatever. You want to be able to have that balance and enjoyment in life still,
Yes.
um, without having that kind of in the back of your head freaking out about it all the time.
And, even if we brought that back to you saying you always like advise your clients to try and like minimize their stress, like if you're stressing every micro moment about what food
Mm-hmm.
you're eating and what's in the food, you're actually destroying your hormones more than if you just eat that fucking burger.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have
Mm.
any more like non-negotiables? I feel like you've listed out so many good ones. Like, so
Yeah, I'm gonna say probably they're my top, or what would do, five.
I think so.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was so good because it's just like that insight as well of like it doesn't have to be hard. It gets to be simple. It gets to just be little things like, go get yourself a tongue scraper, go buy yourself some filtered water. Even if you want to like pour a glass of tap water and a glass of filtered water and just, take some time,
Have a
smell
look.
the difference, taste the difference. And like you might just be like, okay, I get this. Like, and yeah, this conversation's been so, so good and so, so insightful. I feel like without it being too overcomplicated, because I also think these conversations when it gets like a bit more sciencey, people can kind of tap out because it's like I have no idea what they're fucking talking about. Whereas I feel like we
Hmm.
just kept this super chill, which is so good and exactly what I wanted. I
Hmm.
would love to ask you, where can people find you? How can they work with you? All the things.
So I am Well with Laura on Instagram. I have a link in my bio to do coaching. I'm doing one-on-one coaching at the moment. So the link is in my bio for the applications. I'm also currently nearly booked out for April. So I've got 3 more spots left for April. And then from there, I'm just taking on the applications as they come to see when we can fit you in next.
Amazing. It sounds so good. I'll leave all of that linked below the episode. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It's been so, so good.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Yeah, just a reminder to everyone, it doesn't have to be hard. It's all in our small daily habits. And you don't have to make all these big, great, grand changes at once. It can be things you implement one at a time over time. It doesn't have to be a massive and scary and overwhelming.
Yeah, I love that so much. Thank you for adding that in at the end there. Thank you
Awesome.
everyone for listening, and I'll be back next week. Bye. Thank you so much for being a listener of the podcast. I love and appreciate you so, so much. And to show my appreciation and love for you, head on over to my Instagram at Sacred Space W to Nicolais. Jump in my DMs, let me know why you love the podcast, and I'll send you a little something special. See you next week.